was talking to you, by the way.
No shenanigans.
No shenanigans.
No tomfoolery.
Oh, I like tomfoolery. Can we do some poppycock, maybe?
A little bit of poppycock.
All right.
What about a little bit of mayhem?
Oh.
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you like I tell my 4-year-old. Just don't break shit. Alright, how about it?
Oh, good parenting.
That's a good fit. And that's one to grow.
So of course we have here Mr. Troy Baker, Mr. Nolan North. Usually we allow y'all to give a brief introduction if you would like to say. I mean, y'all.
I'm Nolan North, and this is Troy Baker. Yeah.
Boom. Off and running.
Next.
Y'all can go ahead. Yeah.
Congratulations on being a father.
Hey, thanks, man. So far it's 3 weeks and he's still alive, so we're doing okay.
With you now having a son, he could possibly grow up and play your video games. How's that feel? Does it make you feel weird? Do you want him to play those? Is there a particular one you want?
Yeah, like we're going through all of these old games right now, playing through, doing this show called Retro Replay, and I want him to experience, because I think the reason why we play games is because it's overcoming adversity. It's all about meeting a challenge, getting a little bit frustrated, understanding what it feels like to fail. A little frustrated? A lot frustrated, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then finally understanding what it really means to earn an achievement, to earn an accomplishment, and to work very hard at it. So yeah, if he can learn that from games, then I will be a very, very proud father. If he finds another way to satisfy that goal, then he can teach me something. I had a huge unlock this last week that I've been so worried about and concerned about, the kind of father that I want to be, that I've surrendered that, and I know now all I'm trying to do is focus on being the father he needs me to be. Because I could be the coolest father that I think is what he wants, but if it doesn't matter to him, he could have a completely different need than what I'm prepared for. So I just want to be the kind of father that he needs me to be.
You know he doesn't know you exist, right?
True.
He will.
But now you're like a shape.
Yeah, you're just a... He smells different.
What you got? No boobs.
Right.
Oh shit, sorry.
Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask each of you, what was it that first made you take an interest in acting?
Nolan? In acting?
In acting in general. Process of elimination. I'd done everything. I think I always, it's funny, like I joke with people that, especially with a lot of voiceover stuff I'd done, it got in trouble for in high school. Just messing around. Again, with our new show, Retro Replay, it's literally nothing scripted. We make stuff up as we go, and it's, we'll jump into a voice, and that's exactly how we are in our real lives. So we'll be at lunch or something, and just slip into a voice. We can't help it. It just becomes, it's part of our nature. I think after college and grad school, I was going to be a reporter. Did that for a year in New York, New Jersey, and I just too much horror. I saw terrible things, and I just went back into stand-up. And I always kind of performed. I think I was a performer, and who then learned how to be an actor, and cut my teeth on. And that's, I think I was in New York, and I just realized I wanted to entertain people, and that's what I had been done with my friends and with my family, and I literally got to the point of had nothing to lose, everything to gain, and I just said, yeah, I'd rather be broke and doing what I love to do, and see where what happens, and here I am.
There's something that just surfaced literally within the last 2 weeks, a video of you when you're 19 years old. I love this story. I'm gonna tell this story.
You tell it.
19 years
It's about
old.
me. I love it.
He's on college. There's a camera crew there for America.
I'm on college? I'm in college, on campus.
On campus.
You need help?
I'm good. On campus, there's a camera crew. They're shooting stuff for America's Funniest People.
It's a show way back when.
Completely improv, no rehearsals. Like, you should do this. He walks in there and formulates a bit and goes through all these different. He does Robert De Niro. He does Casey Kasem. Who else did you do?
Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson for like 5 different people. Like, gives it a perfect button at 19 years old. He goes and is a final contestant to win the whole big shebang, and then it's
1-0.
1-0. But like 10 years later.
Yeah, well, but they flew me to L.A. I was in North Carolina. They flew me to L.A. and I just looking to make some money, and then gosh, it must have been 7 years later. I was on a soap opera called Port Charles, and I walked out this other door to go to the commissary for lunch, and I saw this gate that we don't come in. I said, and it just hit me, and I realized that show, America's Funniest People, was shot on stage 57 where we shot Port Charles. I was actually on the stage where I was flown in college, so this is 7 years later. I'm an actor, had no idea that I was actually on the same set, on the same lot, in LA, on the same set, doing this. And somebody found it put it on Twitter the other day. It's me doing impressions at 19. My kids are like, hey, I thought I was a dork. You know, like, I had a big neck because I was playing balls.
Big thick neck.
Big neck. So what's up, though? Do some impressions.
Who's next? You? What you got?
So basically, because between the both of you, you've covered a wide dichotomy of roles. What advice, what techniques, anything you guys can tell the next generation of voice actors, people looking to cut their teeth into the game, people looking to look at you as both idols and heroes, and who hope to work with you guys one day?
And I would say, no matter what happens, no matter what the platform becomes, because we're seeing a huge shift in that, no matter what the content looks like, it always comes down to acting. It always comes down to the performance, and people will always seek out substance. And there's nothing that beats being properly trained in some way or another, whether that's, like, I was not an academic, that was not my thing, and I've learned more by making mistakes on set and having people that have been willing to be patient with me than I ever probably would have learned in college, oncology. But I would say, no matter where you are, Atlanta has a ton of opportunities for production. There's almost more production happening here than there is in LA.
I think there is, actually.
Yeah, you could stumble upon a set easily here. And a lot of times they have open casting calls, but there's a theater, some form of a theater community in every city. Get involved in theater. Find a teacher or a director that's willing to be patient with you and walk you through and understand what it's like to break down a script and build a character from the ground up and take direction. Because even if you have the coolest voice in the world, if you can't do a lot with it, your career is going to be a very short fuse.
Yeah, and I would also, I just add that I think you have to find, people always said, when did you know you were successful? And I remember the day that I just jumped into this, and I remember, I think I read for Friends, that show Friends, and I was on the Warner Brothers lot, and I called my buddies, and it was like back in New York. I'm like, reading for Friends. I'm like, you're gonna do Friends? I'm like, no, I didn't get it, but I'm on the Warner Brothers lot.
But I'm here. I passed the fountain.
Like, I was painting a house this morning. I came for the audition. I got a bartend tonight. I felt successful. I know I don't want to sound corny, but really, if you can find the success in the doing and not the destination, that really will help your state of mind, knowing that it's like, wow, I'm doing this. I'm with, and again, I tell people who are starting out, especially on camera stuff, boy, Atlanta's a great place to be.
Yeah, man.
It is. I mean, there's so many shows. I flew down here as a guest star on a television show, and I couldn't believe it. There were, at the time, they were doing the new Avengers movie, but they had, or the new Iron Man movie at the time, but 22 television shows in production, and I think 14 major motion pictures were shooting down here. They have to, by rule, cast local casting, and your first roles in TV and film are going to be smaller roles, and until you just kind of get to know people, and it really is just that networking thing. If you're Canadian, go to Toronto or Vancouver, but if it's not as expensive. You can get some good food, and this is a good place to be. I had one person said, well, I don't know if I could take it, the humidity. I'm like, oh, you're going to do real well. You're worried about humidity. You want to be an actor. It's a lot hotter than humidity. So, all those things. Find the success in the doing. Do your theater. Do improv. Listen, watch, see things you like, and find the best you in every role that you're given an opportunity to do.
I feel like we passed you over, yeah.
That's all right. You guys done a lot of voice roles over the years. Do you have any particular favorite roles that you've had in your career?
Soldier A. really spoke to me. Just his arc of showing up, immediately dying.
Did a Thug 3?
Yeah, Thug 3 was seminal work for you.
You know
Actually,
what?
they teach it in some colleges. On colleges.
I didn't get the opportunity to learn about playing Thug 3. Thug 2 was a little out of my range, but I felt the odd-numbered thugs.
Well, and
were-
again, those early roles, you're never going to get the big. You're not going to get Thug 2.
you know what? And
then you do Mafia 2 and you play.
and I'm everybody.
Everybody.
I'm all the thugs. Yeah, you know. Quick, Nathan Drake was a turning point in my life and my career, no doubt. My favorite character, it is me. It's just the motion capture. It's everything we're talking about, asking about with theater and all your on-camera stuff. It's the same thing. Voice-wise, Richtofen and Deadpool, things like that. Those crazy zany characters have been some of my favorites. Just to sit in a booth and talk to a script, it's like that's fun for me.
I don't know how I'd choose a favorite, and because it sounds like such a. I'm punting to an answer,
Right.
but it's really true because I don't know how I would choose. I've been fortunate to play like him. I've been able to play some really, really cool characters and be a part of some games that became watershed moments in gaming. Games like The Last of Us, the conversation shifted after that game came out. And it wasn't just The Last of Us, it was every game that was leading up to it that was the progenitor. I joke and I say that Bioshock Infinite was John the Baptist and Last of Us was Jesus, which Ken Levine would hate that analogy. But there was this shift that happened in 2012 and 2013 as far as what gamers really, really wanted. We had a lot of shoot 'em ups and a lot of boom booms, and then for a second we needed to breathe and we needed to really attach ourselves to characters. But I try to find my favorite thing about every character that I've done. And the second that I got to play the Joker, the humility that taught me, because I turned it down twice. And finally, the vice president of DC, who was over games at that time, brought me into his office, played my audition, and he said, "That's really good." I was like, "Thank you, man, I appreciate it." He goes, "No, if we think it's good, we're really smart. If we think you could do it, who do you think you are? You need to get over yourself a little bit." I went, "Okay." And he was right, I just needed to trust. Roger Craig Smith and I both walked out of every session going, they're gonna fire us. Until we were in London at the premiere going, "Are you sure Kevin and Mark aren't gonna show up?" just in case. And you just kind of learn that it's your own ego and it's your own arrogance typically that will get in the way. And if you could just get out of your own way, you can find your favorite thing about that character.
Troy's arrogance usually gets in my way.
Yeah. Who's next? This gentleman back here with the Deadpool shirt.
Troy,
I like that shirt.
Thank you. I'm a fan of it as well.
He's asking
Troy,
me a question.
can you tell us anything about
Yes.
The Last of Us Part 2?
I can tell you a lot.
All right. What can you tell us about the game?
Well, you said can. I
Yeah,
can
can
tell
you?
you a lot. Will I?
Yeah.
Hell no, I'm not telling you nothing about that game.
Okay.
I had a long conversation with Neil Druckmann. I was like, "Dude, what do I tell people?" He's like, "Don't tell them anything." I went, "Yeah, but people ask questions." He goes, "So? If you ask Neil Druckmann, what about this?" He was like, "I'm not going to answer any story questions."
Okay.
I'm like, well, that's just easy for you to say with your curly hair and whatnot.
Okay. Well, then, in your opinion, how does Part 2 compare to the previous game?
I will say this. The conversation about what The Last of Us Part 2, or even if there was going to be a Part 2, has been obviously a 5-year conversation.
Right.
And it started at the BAFTAs one year in London, outside of a bar, late at night, and Neil said, "I think I have an idea." And at that point, I didn't know. Maybe he did, but I had no idea whether or not we were going to do one or not. When we shipped The Last of Us, we shipped that game saying this may be the last thing we ever do, that Naughty Dog ever does. They were ready and willing to shutter the doors because they put everything behind it. And if people hated it, people hated it. But Neil didn't want people to be ambivalent towards it. Now it's successful. It's literally sweeping all the BAFTAs. They can't come home through customs with all the BAFTAs that they have, and DICE Awards, and Video Game Awards, and all that stuff. And we start talking about it, and then cut to just 2 years ago, he was like, I want you to come over to the house and I want to walk you through the story. And an hour and a half later, he walks me through an hour and a half just to go, so this happens and this happens, then this happens. Just a recitation of the events and arcs. And I started out being a very diligent student with I was taking notes, and it's I have questions about that, and by the end of it, I'm just leaning forward, listening to my friend tell me a story that it completely enraptured me. It doesn't compare. It can't compare. If we start comparing, that's when we fail. So it in no way compares to The Last of Us Part 1. It is Part 2. It is a continuation of the story. It is not a comparison to it. If that answers any questions. Nailed it. I'm probably going to get in trouble somewhere along the way. I'm going to get a text from Neil going, dude, again? Really?
I'll give you a spoiler. He turned down my prequel idea, David Knows Best.
David Knows Best.
And we're not talking.
People wanted to understand the plight of a cannibal. Yes. Yes.
Little fun question for you. All the characters that you played, if you could have anyone that would just stand beside you, maybe knee height, maybe sitting on your shoulder or something like that, not actually destructive, they can't hurt anybody. Okay. Who would your little buddy be?
What a fantastic question that I'm completely unprepared for. Go Nolan. I'm gonna think about mine. You think best on your feet.
I know, but I've
You're
done
sitting.
so many.
Wow.
Well, if I can't hurt anybody, I wouldn't pick Deadpool because he'd be my first, just to sit there. But he's funny, so Deadpool's up there. If I actually need something, it'd be maybe Sigmund from Ratchet and Clank. That was a cute little one. He'd be helpful. There'd be so many different things. Not Nate, because his voice is so annoying. Rick Tophet, no, you don't put Nazis on your show. Germans not there on your show. You know what? It's the movies. Deadpool. I'll put Deadpool up there because there's 3 voices and they can like. It's like having the angel and the devil. It's like having both in one. So yeah, that would be.
If I could throw an audible and not have it be on the shoulder, but like literally a buddy I could hang out with, like a companion character, I would either go that I've played. I would either go Sam Drake, or I would go Reese from Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands. Those are just guys that because
you're gonna get into a lot of right? A lot of trouble.
Those are guys that I want to go have a beer with. Those are guys that I just hang with. Delson from Infamous would be a lot of fun though. Cool ways to get around city. Dang, dude, that's a really good question. Get out of here. Who's next?
We got a monitoring thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've had your hand up for a little bit.
So we recently had the opportunity to talk with Laura Bailey, and especially Laura. Oh, okay. But she hinted out a little bit about the character interactions between you and her.
Yeah.
So effectively, what voice actor or actress have you had like a special chemistry with? Like, you know what, the thing's just flying on the bat, and we don't even know where we're gonna take this.
Laura Bailey, hands down, 6 days a week, twice on Sunday. She's so good, and she makes me better because she's so diligent. She's one who's properly trained, and sometimes even though she can roll with my punches, the way that I operate drives her crazy. So when we play kind of oppositional characters, it works really, really well because my natural process of just to build a little more devil-may-care and just shoot from the hip drives her crazy because she's very methodical, and even though she can improv and she can go off the range super easy, she's a very diligent, dedicated actor. We were going in for an audition one time, and she walked in and she was just going over her script, and I literally looked at it and put it down, and she just are you gonna look at that? I'm like, I just looked to see if there was any weird words I didn't know how to understand or say it, and I'm just gonna go and see what happens. Drove her nuts. But I would say of any female actress that I've worked with, Ashley Johnson is just it's always an interesting dance with Ashley because both of us are just trying not to step on it. It's like 2 8th graders at a dance. We're both just trying not to step on each other's toes, and all we want to do is make sure that we're doing the best dance that we can. But if you put me in a room with Laura Bailey and tell us nothing about the character and put scenes in front of us, there's instantly, just because of our personal relationship, there's instantly going to be like, I know where you're going, you know where I'm going, and we can roll with it. She's awesome.
Probably Emily Rose. Emily Rose, from, Elena. I mean, 10 years together. Kind of just know. And actually, when she was on her show Haven on Sci-Fi Channel, they actually wrote an episode for me. I flew up to Nova Scotia. It's called The Last Goodbyes. I think it was season 4. And it was great. So it was, and that's kind of a Twilight Zone type show, and so we got to play on camera together. People saw the live Nate and Elena. So and it was just, I went up there, and sometimes when you go in, especially on the on camera jobs I've been on, when you're a guest star, you just kind of you got to feel out in a few short days what the climate of the cast is and how everything kind of works. You kind of, even a big mouth like me has to kind of keep quiet and let everything, see how everything goes. I walked in there, felt like I was a cast member because she's there, and it was like, oh yeah, and it was just, yeah, that's solid chemistry that it should be after that long together.
You guys have so many characters, and you guys do so much dialogue when you're motion acting and everything. Are you guys just given lines to memorize, or do you guys get a chance to riff and kind of elaborate off of the character and take it in different places?
Yes.
Improv, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But yes to both. Like, there's a full script what we're given, and it's, all right, here's this 6-page scene. Know not only just the lines, but know the scene. Like, know where you're going in this. And we block it out just like you would shoot a movie. They even a lot of times are shooting their cameras in the same way.
Ideas occur to you.
You're like,
here and there,
try
say,
this.
Yeah. I mean, I think a couple times we've done things where it's scripted, and I go, hey, you should take my line,
Yeah,
and
that
I'll
feels
take
more like
yours.
this.
It just seems more like he would say that, and fortunately we've worked with,
Really
a
good
lot of
writers.
people who are good writers that are also humble enough to go, yeah, that's a good idea.
That was
Switch
gonna
that. Let's
be
try
my
it."
follow-up. Jen Conan mentioned how sometimes it's hard to work with directors that have a vision, especially if you feel like it's not hitting that beat.
Good director, and a good actor relationship, in my opinion, you will give them what's on the page, what they want, and then they'll allow you to go, can we try something? And they go, yeah, let's roll one. And they can decide later in the editing, but
Sure.
for them to be cool enough to go, yes, you gave me what I think I need, show me what you're thinking, it might change my mind. And it's a collaboration that comes down to it.
A good director will allow themselves to be surprised and allow their vision to be fluid, but they'll always, like, again, I bring up Neil Druckmann. Neil always he'll ask you, what do you think? But he has an answer in his back pocket. But his goal is not to lead you to his answer. His goal is to understand your answer. And that is what fundamentally I think makes him a really, really good director, is because he's truly open to your interpretation, to his idea. But a precious writer is only precious because they're afraid that line is the last good line that they're ever going to write. They're a really good writer, they don't care. They're literally having to flush the good ideas out. They're like, I don't care if you change that line because I've got 1,000 other ones behind it. So be wary of precious writers. And they're like, no, it really, that comma needs to be there, because they're afraid that's literally they're not going to be able to come up with something else. And they get challenged when you come up with something that is better. So again, it's all about collaboration.
Thank you. Yeah, going along the lines of that, since your resume is so long and projects come to you, when you do auditions, are there any crazy audition stories?
Huh.
Like I read one about you and Far Cry 4.
Yeah.
Creepiness with that.
It wasn't even an audition. It was more just like the director and they just wanted to see me and put me on tape for it. They just kind of wanted to, because they wanted me. They had to pitch it to the Ubisoft. So we meet in this little meeting space in like a hotel or something. They set up a camera, and there was a scene there, and we ended up just kind of going off of, because I didn't want to be locked down to this, and so it just was a conversation like this. And in the middle of it, someone from the space came in, some assistant came in to like refresh the teas and the coffees, and I just didn't break, and I just stopped and I was like, who is she? What is she doing here? I'll probably rip off her face. Excuse me, what is your name? And I just kept going, and they just let me go. And she just froze. It was like, you may leave. Make sure you burn her in her sleep tonight. It's just because why not? And they were like, that's what we want. It had nothing to do with the voice. It had nothing to do with anything else because it was gonna be full performance capture. Like, can you riff? Can you adapt? Because invariably, especially in a game, because of design, because of changes, because it's a multifaceted thing, it will invariably change. There were so many things in The Last of Us that changed. And to be able to go, oops, we're no longer doing that, that character no longer exists. Actually, these two characters have been melded into one. Oh, by the way, we're never going to that place that we mentioned. You have to be able to adapt and be able to find players that go, got it, and just instantly etch a sketch and create something all fresh for you. So again, it's not about the voice, especially when it starts coming to performance capture. It's about, can you think fast on your feet? Can you dance? So we're gonna play jazz.
Why isn't there there should be a sex selection for that in Academy Awards? Why isn't there?
Girl, don't get me started. How about,
We don't need no stinking award.
how about we start with the SAG Awards? How about our own union recognizes the fact that we do this for games? And the beauty of it is, and I will tell you a very personal story.
You all got time for this?
I learned the hard way that it can't be about the accolades. It has to be about everything that you left. Did you leave it all on the stage? Because the last thing that I would want is to be given an award for something that I knew was adequate, that wasn't exemplary, that wasn't remarkable. The accolades are great. They're about to nominate my boy. They're making up an award for him because what he has done has truly affected the industry. He hates it when he talks.
Basically, their way of saying you're old.
You're old. Retire. Get out.
You're
a lifetime achievement award. Take the hint.
It's no more games.
But it's not. It really isn't about the awards. And if that's what you're going for, man, you're shortchanging yourself. Because for me, it sounds so trite, but it has to be about the work. And there are scenes, and there's work that I've done that I don't need someone to go, and here's a medal. I'm proud of that because of the way that it affected me, and we're standing down there and we're signing stuff, and people go, this moved me.
Yeah.
That's my award.
I would add that one of the nice things about doing conventions, not only in this country but all over the world now, because we've been blessed to go a lot of places. I was in Kuwait. This you know, and it's amazing when you hear the fans come up to a table, shake their hand, they're talking to you, they say, hey, this was so much fun. Or, you know, I was in a rough time in life when I played that game. I was going through law school and I had to play my game. Probably not a good lawyer, but I mean, you know, you affected me. That's really cool. You know, I mean, I grew up in Rhode Island, which is a state.
Barely. I mean, barely.
But you know, I mean, I had no idea I'd be doing something like this. But when you sit back and you know, this recent award was one of those things where, yeah, you kind of go, wow, you don't really, because you're so like, this business, right? Keep your foot on the pedal. Got to keep the next one. What's the next thing? And you always want to get better. And when you slow down, you get a weekend away from home, and you're in Atlanta or Kuwait or London or Glasgow, Scotland, wherever. People say, we really appreciate what you did. It's really cool to know that you affected somebody. You know, the same way a teacher probably should feel affected that you helped somebody with their education, or a doctor saved someone. You know, a veteran did served the country, and someone says, hey, thank you. It's really gratifying, and it's, you know, seriously, he and I've talked about this, and don't want to sound hokey, but it's not about the accolades. That's accolade enough when you get it from the people who matter.
Sure.
It really is.
Because the second that you get the award, people are like, you shouldn't have gotten it.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for that storm coming.
All right,
I didn't ask for it. Yeah, but you took it, didn't you?
A few more, Chris, where are we going?
I'm gonna say playing video games help with bar prep and help me pass the bar.
There you go.
Really?
See?
What's something that each of you is passionate about outside of performing?
My family.
Yeah.
My family. I got, you know, 2 great kids. I'm leaving tomorrow morning because it's my youngest 15th birthday tomorrow. So I want to fly home, you know, because I don't want to miss it. In fact, the other one's 18. This one's turning 15, so it's 33 birthdays, and I've missed one, and I was here in Atlanta shooting that TV show. And I was supposed to be home, but it rained for 4 straight days, and it was all outside shoots, so I missed his birthday. But my family, yeah, they're, you know, it's, I mean, you know, everybody, I mean, this is our job, and it can be glamorous at times, it can be just t-shirt, hat backwards, and just a microphone, or on set at a TV show, which is not as fancy as it looks. But you know, what's real is your family. You know, if everything fell apart, you know, if you just, you know, they said it's part of this I call it a healthy bit of self-loathing that every actor has or should have. Where, I mean, I'm not kidding you. I'll come home and I pull into the driveway, and part of me, I swear, a part of me is waiting to see a big moving truck. And the family's not even crying. They're just looking, going, they say we have to go. Yeah, oh yeah, we have to go. Yeah, we go. Where are we going? I don't know. We're just, they're like, we found out. You're a phony. Get in the truck. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the money and the recognition. It's been great. I'm out. And we just get on the freeway and start heading somewhere. Probably east, because otherwise it's the ocean. But it's part of you just kind of waits for that to happen. So, yeah.
Someone told me a long time ago that your life is a 3-legged stool. Your personal life, your professional life, and your spiritual life. And if one of those is off, you don't sit right. And I've seen a lot of people throw everything, all of their weight behind their career, and they don't sit right. It's about finding a balance of being able to go, what else am I passionate about? What else am I investing in? So that I sit balanced. Because even if you just have a 1-legged stool, like that little monopod, good luck balancing that forever. I call it a monopod. You like that?
Could have said unipod.
That's a different thing. That's a very offensive term.
A single-legged pod.
For me, like, music, all I want to do is tell a story. Like, that is wherever I find a way to tell a story, whether that's on set, behind a mic, sitting in front of you guys, with a guitar, in a band. I don't care. I just want to tell a story, and I want to have a story to tell. And in order to tell a story, you must be living it first. And so I try to expose myself to as much as I can. Sometimes people need a comedy, sometimes people need a dramedy, sometimes people need a horror, sometimes people need a thriller. And it's just about finding the mix. Because if your story is all uplifting, that's just saccharine, boring. I want those lows. I want those highs. I want the tragedy. I want the accomplishment, the achievement. So I'm passionate about telling stories. Right now, I've got a really awesome story, and that's the fact that every day, this new life in our house is writing his story, and I get to read something that I've never read before. And it's with every sound and every burp and every fart that I'm like, there's a life that is just so open and requires so little. He requires so little. All he needs is a fresh diaper, a place to sleep, and a boob every once in a while. And he is solid, pretty much like his dad. But that kind of keeps me humble, and that keeps me focused, that we really don't need all of this. All we really need to do is have someone that...
But all this is pretty cool.
But it's pretty cool. And there's hats.
Yeah, he buys a lot of hats.
I buy a lot of hats. Jordans are my new obsession.
As
right
you'll
now.
see in the new retro replay. See, yeah, I tied it back in. We're really here to plug that.
All right, we got time for a couple more.
Because we're right at the 30 minutes.
Okay, how do you go about creating your own interpretation of established characters, for example, the Joker?
Great question. Trust. I like that shoulders, like, good job. You did good.
It's a good question.
Don't try to make it better. I think if you try to make it better, again, it goes back to that comparison. Then you're in competition with yourself as opposed to just honoring the character. There's a lot of people that have played Richard III, and Martin Freeman, they laughed at him when he set foot on stage to play Richard III. He's like, No. It's supposed to be this big, boisterous character, and Martin Freeman played him super small, and every review is like completely rethinking the character now because of this. And this is like a 400-year-old character. So that is, to me, a great kind of thought process of like, somebody asked me, like, how do you feel about somebody else playing Joel in the movie? Like, all I care about is it's someone that cares about the character. Because if he fails, awesome. Nobody can do it with me. But if he's good, then I get to learn something about Joel that I didn't know before. So when I step into a role like the Joker, yes, there's the Arkham universe, and it needs to remind you of need to believe that this guy becomes the version that Mark Hamill has played for 25 years. But it's not an impersonation, it's not an impression, it's just, I buy that. I believe that this guy grew up to be that, in the same way that River Phoenix, you could believe grew up to be Harrison Ford in The Last Crusade. It's that kind of believability that's just, there's a character that exists outside of the actor playing it. So do the character as opposed to doing the actor.
And impart your own sense of who you are. Tell any actor, the only thing that makes me different from him, you, or you, if we all audition together, is, let's say lack of talent, I have none. But like if you're playing a character named Mark, don't go in saying like, how does Mark walk and think? It's like, okay, it's Nolan who happens to be Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, Nathan Drake was just me, and it just, for some reason, they chose me. And my son is my 18-year-old is an actor now, and he's, one of the things I've taught him is like, people say, how do you handle rejection when you're an actor? You're never rejected. You're never bad.
Right.
I go into a room knowing I'm never going to be bad in an audition, but I might just not be the right fit for that particular character. And it's just, you have to be good with that. I'm gonna go do my version of this character.
Yes.
My version, my take. It's the only voice my only thing that is different about me is my take on the character. I'm not gonna try to go, I'm gonna give them what I think they want. No, I'm gonna give them me,
looks like.
and if it works out, that's how you, because then, if you don't get the role, which you don't get the role more often than you do, you gotta sit right with that. And if you do your take, and you're happy with what you've given them, and what you're presenting to them, it's like, okay, good. I'm gonna go get lunch. This is great. Hey, you didn't get it. Okay. They really liked you. Great. Maybe there'll be another role somewhere. That's how you do it. And again, that goes back to my earlier thing. That's part of the process. And if you enjoy that, if you work at it, and you prepared a character, whether it's an established character or not. You were the one who told me, had a great line I remember reading about it actually, where he said, especially with the Joker, he said, we never own these characters. Right. You inhabit them for a while, and that's a cool way to look at it. It's like, oh, good, I'm going to give it my version, and people like it. They don't. My favorite is I got to do the Prince of Persia, and Yuri Lowenthal, our friend, did the first one, and then they went to our other friend Robin Atkin Downs, and then the third game they went back to Yuri Lowenthal, and then I did it. And then they finally went back to Yuri Lowenthal. Then we were going to do another one. I said, you know what? Why don't we just let Yuri do it?
Yeah. Clearly, we need to keep going back to that.
Somebody keeps going, no, he's really good.
And then Jake Gyllenhaal, and they just never, no more Prince of Persia.
And now there's no more. Now there's no more.
Assassin's Creed.
I like Fassbender.
Okay, guys, that was awesome, and that was really fun. But time's up. Time's up. I'm not singing.
Hashtag time's up?
Yeah, I need to ask